Welcome, everyone. We are glad you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started for today's webinar. We've got a lot of information to cover in a short period of time. Today's webinar is being recorded, and everybody that is attending will get a copy of a link to the recording and a copy of today's slides. So we are really excited to be here with you today. From a housekeeping perspective, we are in webinar mode, so we can't see you or hear you, but we do know you're there. We're glad you're here. We do ask that you put your questions today in the chat box. There are a lot of people registered for this webinar today, so we may not be able to get to all the questions, but we're certainly going to do our best. And there will be contact information for our speakers today to reach it, for you to reach out if you have additional questions that didn't get answered during this meeting. So today we are talking about how to maximize your Social Security benefits, concurrent beneficiary issues and considerations. And you know, when we start talking about Social Security, SSI, Medicaid topics, oh my gosh, the questions are endless in our minds because it is very convoluted. So as a parent, if you're coming to this meeting because you feel like you're beating your head against the wall, you feel confused on all these different programs, you know, kind of what you need to do and what you don't need to do, we hope that this meeting will be very informational and helpful for you today. So Consolidated Planning Group, we are a holistic special needs planning firm. If you're joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. We have a Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel. There's over 200 webinars on special needs related planning topics. They are sorted by topic. The topics are named intelligently so you can see what they're about and kind of see if that's something that you're interested in and for the step that you're on. And you can subscribe to the Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel for free. We are a holistic financial planning firm, predominantly focusing on special needs families and planning for your loved one who is going to have care needs long after you're gone. We're nationally certified as Social Security advisors and members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. Today, we are super excited to be here with Sara, Kendall, and Nehtra Davis with the Texas Workforce Commission. These two are subject matter experts. You may have attended our webinar on June the 6th that was on another topic relating to Social Security, so you can find that on our webinar. So I'm going to turn everything over to Sara. Thanks for being with us, ladies. We're so glad to have you back.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Sara Kendall, as Allison said, and I'm here with my colleague, Nehtra Davis Moore. And we both work for the Texas Workforce Commission Vocational Rehabilitation Division. And we are both certified by Social Security as benefits planners, even though we don't work for Social Security. But that's our job in vocational rehabilitation, which we'll talk a little bit more about what services vocational rehabilitation offers at the end of this webinar. So let's dive into this. Concurrent beneficiaries are definitely a complicated group of folks. We don't have time to review today the Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, or the 3 Title II disability programs in detail. We did do webinars on these for Consolidated Planning Group. And if you were unable to attend those webinars, the information you hear today may be a little difficult to understand. So you can go back and view the archived webinars on CPG's site. We did one on May 31st, 2023 on supplemental security income. And on June 6th, 2023, we did one on the Title II disability benefits, okay? If your family member becomes a concurrent beneficiary, or if your family member is a concurrent beneficiary, you have to know how both programs, supplemental security income and Title II, work. And having both of these benefits can be a really good thing for someone, but managing both of the benefits can get very complicated. I am trying to advance the slide. There we go. So what is a concurrent beneficiary? Well, it's someone who's age 18 or older who receives both supplemental security income and a Title II disability benefit. Okay. The individual may be receiving, so they're receiving supplemental security income, you know that, and they may be receiving one or more of these three Title II disability benefits. They may be receiving Social Security Disability Insurance or SSDI off their own work record, or the Childhood Disability Benefit, also known as Disabled Child, off a parent's work record, or probably not for the folks who are on this call, but they could be a disabled widow or widower receiving benefits off a deceased spouse's work record. So some basic terms that you're going to need to know today are substantial gainful activity. That's a number, a benchmark number that only Social Security uses. It is gross monthly earnings in 2023 of $1,470 a month for those who are not blind, and $2,460 gross a month in earnings for those who are blind. The other term that you're going to hear is the Title II trial work period. That's 9 months in a rolling 60-month period, does not have to be consecutive, where if someone earns $1,050 gross a month or above, that will trigger use of one trial work period month, and that's in 2023. The next term that you need to know is the extended period of eligibility. That applies again to the Title II benefits. That is a 36-month consecutive period that starts after the 9th trial work period month. The next term is also a Title II term. It's the cessation grace period. That's the first 3 months that the person has gross monthly earnings at or above substantial gainful activity after a trial work period has been completed. The SSI basic terms, and again, you can view the archived SSI webinar on CPG's site from May 31st for more details on SSI. SSI 1619B state and individualized threshold. SSI 1619B allows someone who receives supplemental security income who are working to keep Medicaid until they reach what's called the state threshold of yearly gross income of, in 2023, $47,107 or even higher if they have an individualized threshold. That means that someone that on SSI can make up to $47,107 this year in the state of Texas and remain an active SSI recipient and continue to receive free Medicaid. There are SSI work incentives that folks can use if they're qualified for them, and they will get more in their monthly SSI cash benefit when they work. These are the student earned income exclusion, the impairment related work expense, the blind work expense, and the plan to achieve self-support. The Title II work incentives, because these are different programs, but the person is getting both SSI and Title II. The Title II work incentives are used if you're qualified to use them after a trial work period has been completed, and you use them to reduce countable income earned that's a substantial gainful activity or above. So you use these to lower that countable earned income for SSA's purposes so that you can continue to get your Title II cash benefit. The two work incentives on the Title II side are the impairment related work expense and subsidy and special condition. And again, these are talked about in more detail in the June 6th, 2023 archived webinar. So an SSA concurrent beneficiary is someone who must be over the age of 18, must be receiving both supplemental security income and a Title II disability benefit. They will receive both Medicaid from the supplemental security inside and Medicare from the Title II side. And this is the important thing, they must be awarded a minimum amount of cash benefit each month. The amount of the Title II cash benefit that is awarded determines whether someone will be a concurrent beneficiary or not. Someone who is awarded Title II only, SSDI, the Childhood Disability Beneficiary, Disabled Adult Child, or Disabled Widow or Widower, must be awarded a certain amount in the monthly cash benefit. That minimum amount is what's known as the federal benefit rate, or FBR, plus $20. The federal benefit rate, or FBR, is the same as the maximum SSI monthly cash benefit for an individual in the calendar year. And FBR can change every January 1st. So in 2023, FBR is $914. You add 20 to that to get $934, and that is the minimum monthly cash benefit award that someone who gets a Title II disability benefit must be awarded, is $934. But suppose they're not. Suppose your family member has worked enough. And again, if you go back and look at that webinar on Title II, this will explain this more. Because the younger you are, the quicker you can get on Social Security disability insurance off your own work record, for example. So if you're not awarded, when you get SSDI or CDB DAC, if you're not awarded that $934, Social Security is required to provide you with enough monthly cash benefit from the supplemental security income side to bring your total monthly cash benefit to that required federal benefit rate plus $20. So here's an example. Mary in January is awarded $745 in childhood disability benefits, also known as disabled child, off her parents' work record. Since $745 is under the $934, Mary will receive $189 in supplemental security income. You add the $189 to the $745 and you get $934, the required award amount for Title II. And in Texas, when you receive SSI, which Mary will, of $189, she will automatically receive Medicaid. And she will also get Medicare because she receives the Title II CDB or disabled adult child. So she gets Medicare, Medicaid, and a cash benefit from the Title II side and a cash benefit from the SSI side. So that's how basically a concurrent works. But suppose Mary was already receiving SSI. What happens then? Well, Mary was receiving SSI, and then she starts receiving her Title II CDB DAC, Childhood Disability Beneficiary, also known as Disabled Adult Child. If the amount of that Title II benefit is less than the federal benefit rate plus $20, Mary will continue to receive enough in her SSI to bring her total monthly cash benefit up to the required Title II rate, and her Medicaid will continue. If Mary starts receiving Title II CDB DAC, and the CDB DAC amount she gets is higher than that federal benefit rate plus $20, her SSI cash benefit and her Medicaid will be terminated, and she would just receive Title II, Childhood Disability Beneficiary, Disabled Adult Child, and Medicare. However, she could keep her Medicaid if her Title II was due to drawing off a parent's record, the CDB DAC, or a disabled widow or widower, by applying for Medicaid using HHSC's H1200 application form, and she cannot be denied Medicaid if this was the scenario, if she was receiving SSI and then transferred over to a Title II CDB DAC or a disabled widower benefit. She would be eligible to continue to receive Medicaid. But she would have to apply for it using that HHSC H1200 application form.
I want to just mention here, Sara, that this is an important consideration here because we have some families that their child is a minor, so they haven't applied for SSI yet. Okay, so they're not getting Medicaid yet. They haven't applied for SSI yet, right, but mom or dad is thinking about retiring, right? So careful consideration comes into play for this, where mom or dad may need to strategically plan that turning on their Social Security benefits, because if the child qualifies for Title II first and that amount is too high, they're not going to be covered under Medicaid under that H1200 that she's talking about. So anyway, if you're at that slippery slope where you've got a kid that's still a minor, you're thinking about retiring, do consult with a professional first before you turn on your Social Security benefits, because it can make all the difference in the world. And the reason I'm saying that is because all of the waivers in the state of Texas require that Medicaid eligibility. So you just really do want to be careful on not being eligible for Medicaid. But there's 109 Medicaid programs out there.
Right. And I know that you'll be doing an overview on the waivers, but you don't have to have Medicaid to get on a waiver. You actually don't. You can get Medicaid just by virtue of being eligible for the waiver. And that's a whole nother issue.
Well, what I'm speaking of, the Medicaid eligibility on the waivers, I mean, there is a whole separate set of rules on Medicaid eligibility.
There is.
But if you're wanting to keep the Medicaid that's under this SSI, so that's a whole nother ballgame. And the important thing for people to know, because people are confused that there's just this one great big Medicaid program and it's all under SSI. And my point is there are 109 Medicaid programs out there. The rules are varying and whose income and assets and what they're looking at. So that's what I want to make sure of. We have a couple of questions I want to put out there really quick, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm not sure if she'll speak about the BPQY, the benefits planning query, but I'd like to know if the Social Security office charges to get this report. I called today and was told that there was a $40 fee to get this report. Can you confirm this is correct?
That is incorrect. And it's $40 would be a very cheap quote by Social Security for a BPQY. That's a rumor that floats around the Social Security offices that there's a charge for a benefits planning query. There is no charge to the individual receiving the benefit for a benefits planning query if the person is requesting the benefits planning query for work planning purposes. If you are just requesting a benefits planning query because you want a benefits planning query, which will tell you a lot about your family members' benefits, there will be a charge for it. But if you are requesting it because you need it to plan to go to work, then there is absolutely no charge. That is incorrect. So
yeah, I put an answer in the chat too. And Ms. Dorr, if you could tell us which location that office was, that would be helpful too. But yeah, there's no charge, like I said.
Chat, right?
Yep,
and I see it's Dallas Fort Worth, but we need to know the actual Social Security
the
office,
location,
local office, which office it was. Was it on North Central Expressway? Was it another? You know, which Dallas Fort Worth office was it? The Social Security
Fort Worth downtown.
Fort Worth downtown, but that's very common. That what you heard from them was very common about the $40 charge. Yes.
Just for all the people that are out here that maybe don't know what a BPQY is, could you just tell them quickly the BPQY, what it is and why you might need that?
A benefits planning query is the only document that an individual receiving benefits can get from Social Security that will give them an overview and details about their benefits program, whether it be Title II, supplemental security income, or both. Sorry, I just realized I'm trying to get back. And it will tell you the type of benefit you receive, what kind of health insurance. It'll tell you whether you used any work incentive programs. It'll tell you when your next medical review is, if you have a representative pay or an authorized representative. And oftentimes we talk to family members who think that they are the representative payee, but they're not on the Social Security record. And the BPQY will tell you that, the benefits planning query. It'll give you a posting of earnings and some other pertinent information that you need to know about your benefits. And if your family member is a customer of the Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation Services, our agency, we always will either get the benefits planning query for you or help you to get it, because we have to have that. Because one of the services our agency offers is free, accurate, and complete benefits counseling. Okay, so that's what a BPQY is. And you do want to get one if your family member is planning to go to work. You really do need one. It will also tell you what kind of a mess, if any, your record is in with Social Security. And when you see that the information on a benefits planning query is incorrect or incomplete, what that tells us is there are some actions that need to be taken to clean up that record within Social Security. So going back to being a concurrent beneficiary, suppose you don't want your family member to become a concurrent, you want them to stay on SSI. You're like, I don't want them to go on Title II. Well, you don't get to choose, unfortunately. You have to accept the program that Social Security puts your family member on. And that's why it's so important to understand both of these programs if your family member is or may be a concurrent beneficiary. It's extremely important to understand how both of the programs work, because you really don't get a choice. You can't tell them, nope, I'll just stay on SSI and that's fine. That's not how it works. Okay. And again, having real problems advancing the slides today. Don't know why. Sorry, here we go. So what are the benefits of being a concurrent? Well, you get to use all those work incentive programs if you qualify for them that are on both sides. And you have total wraparound health insurance with Medicare and Medicaid. And Medicaid, which is terrific, will pick up most or all of the costs of Medicare, which is not a free healthcare program. And again, there we go. And the concurrent may be able to get assistance with Medicare costs through a Medicare savings program, which is run by the Health and Human Services Commission. And you can find out more about these Medicare savings programs by going to the HHSC website or contacting your Health Information Counseling and Advocacy Program, which is located in your local area agency on aging. Okay. Paying room and board after someone is 18 is extremely important if your family member becomes a concurrent. And I really, for those families on here, please pay attention to this slide, even if you don't pay attention to anything else. Once your child turns 18, please have them start paying their fair share of rent, mortgage, and groceries each month. If they don't pay that, they do receive a reduced amount of SSI called in-kind support and maintenance. And in 2023, in-kind support and maintenance, it means that you only get $609.34 in a monthly cash benefit instead of that $914 in SSI. And the reason why paying the room and board after age 18 is so important, if your child goes to work and has the possibility of becoming a concurrent beneficiary, is that they could, and they don't, let's say they don't get that full $934, the federal benefit rate plus $20, they may get terminated from SSI if they're not paying room and board. And that's because of the way the SSI calculation works. And Nehtra, I'm going to ask you to take over if you could, because I can't, there you go. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you can go back to that last slide. I'm sorry. Can you go back?
No, you're fine.
Finish up.
Fine.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. There we go.
I know. It's kind of wonky today.
It's kind of wonky today. It's a little slow. Must be the heat. Okay. So if you don't pay room and board on the SSI side and you get under that federal benefit rate plus $20, you may not get any SSI and you may be terminated from Medicaid. So really, really important when your child turns 18, if they're going to go to work, for them to start paying room and board. Because if they lose that Medicaid and all they have to rely on is Medicare, they will wait 2 years for that Medicare to start, okay? And we talk about much more about SSI in-kind support and maintenance in the May 31st, 2023 Consolidated Planning Group webinar on SSI. So take a look at that if you will. Okay.
I also just wanted to mention that when you're having your child pay for food and shelter, you know, maybe it's $500 or $550 a month, and it goes from their account where they're receiving the SSI to your account because you're the you own the house or what have you. There is nothing wrong with, and nothing prevents you from turning right around and putting that in their ABLE account for their use. There's no problem with that. And so we have whole, webinars on the ABLE accounts, but I just wanted to let people know, because a lot of parents will come to us and say, I don't want to charge them rent. Really? I have to charge them rent?
Right.
I don't want that money. And so if that's you and you want to use that money for their use, you can put it in their ABLE account, and the money in the ABLE account will not be counted against them for SSI and Medicaid purposes. And again, probably a whole nother meeting for that.
And Allison, even better, what the parent can do. Texas, in most counties in Texas, there are a few in the Dallas area that are an exception, but in most counties in Texas, they will accept $275 for room and board. Even if you live in $1 million home, they will accept $275. Social Security will. Well, if you're a parent, you can take $275, put it in your child's ABLE account, and your child can pull that out, hand it to you, and they have paid room and board. And this is in Social Security rules, it's in IRS rules, and it's in Medicaid rules. So it's a great way of getting around that stupid, the SSI in-kind support and maintenance rule.
It's, I call it sometimes it's just a matter of playing the game. It is how it goes. We do have a couple of questions. One person said that they've applied for SSI and now they have an appointment for a psych evaluation with one of their, not their doctors, but the SSI doctors. She would like to know, or they would like to know, what should they expect?
I cannot tell you that because I don't know what kind of evaluation you're having. I don't know what kind of professional they're sending you to. Usually,
one thing that I would say is you could call DDS, the Disability Determination Services, because they are who would have requested this appointment. The number for DDS is 800-252-7009. You can give your child's case and they will look it up and they will tell you what to expect. Because I know that we've had some evaluations that wasn't a psych evaluation, so they'll tell you. And my other suggestion, just from one parent to another that's done some of these, is I would say take whatever records you already have. So if you've already done neuropsych testing, if you have your IEP paperwork, if you've got other testing and other proof of things proof of diagnosis, the more information, they may have it, they may not, but the more information that you provide, they can discard what they don't already have, but that information that you take in there may be helpful in that factor. So then we have another person. I'm going to repeat that DDS number one more time. The DDS number is also a good phone number if you have applied for SSI and it has not been approved, to find out where your application is in the process. Has it been sent from the local office for approval? Again, that's 800-252-7009. They actually do answer the phone. Your case does get assigned a caseworker. Sometimes it's waiting to be assigned, but it gets a caseworker. That caseworker does have an extension, and you can get through to them, because I know a lot of families have felt like really frustrated where the Social Security numbers, the local offices are forwarding to the national office. One person says, does it matter if an adult child is a dependent, like on taxes, when he's paying room and board? And let's add to that question, does it matter if they're under full guardianship? Because we get that question all the time too.
No, none of that matters to Social Security in terms of room and board.
Someone said, can we get information emailed on how to start an ABLE account? Our contact information will be in the slides. Just absolutely reach out and we will provide that, be happy to provide that information. One person says, my daughter works, receives SSI, and also has a rental agreement on file with SSA. I received a letter stating she is now eligible to file for Social Security disability, and she needs to file for it to keep SSI eligibility. Is that because she has worked over the last 3 years?
That is correct.
Okay, someone asked if this is being recorded. Everybody's going to get a copy of today's slides and a link to the recording. What do you do if your child qualifies for SSDI and is already on SSI and the Medicaid waiver program? Do you have to file a form or something to stay on Medicaid in order to continue the eligibility for the waiver program?
If your child transfers from SSI to SSDI off their own work record, and this is important, they will be able to keep their Medicaid by virtue of being on the waiver, but you do have to let your service coordinator or case manager, whatever waiver you're in, they're called different things, but you have to notify that person that they will no longer be receiving SSI Medicaid, that they'll be receiving SSDI, and your service coordinator or case manager will transfer them just to a different Medicaid program. Like Allison said, there's a lot of different Medicaid programs. We call it the House of Medicaid. And there's all these different doors into the house. It's not just one front door. There's like 10 front doors, and then there's other doors too. So you just have to tell your service coordinator or case manager of the waiver that your child has been transferred to SSDI, and they will change them in their system so that they continue to keep their Medicaid through the waiver.
Okay, a couple more, and then we're going to get back to the slides. I did put the phone number in the chat box, and if the lady that asked the question about the psych evaluation asked if I answered the question, reach out to me offline on that. I did, and it will be in the recording that you're going to get a link to. Let's see. I'm just going here. Let's see. Okay, our LIDA accepted testing from the school district. We were advised by a great teacher to request the school test before he reached age 22. Testing was not a given. I agree with that. But I also would like to mention, so I suggest if they're going to stay in school to 22, yes, prior to 22, but if they're leaving the public school at 18, I would say prior to 18, because that is helpful for accommodations. It's helpful for applying for SSI and things like that. So there is possibility that your school has done testing. There's a possibility that you've done outside private testing. You've paid for that. But there's a lot of programs, again, with the Workforce Commission, and as people are being assessed for VR, there may be some testing done as it relates to VR that may be helpful as well. So I just wanted to mention that. Sara or Nehtra, would you like to comment on that at all?
Sure. I mean, it depends on what medical records and how current they are when the person applies for services with vocational rehabilitation. But we can send people for different kinds of evaluations and medical evaluations, as well as psychiatric or neuropsychiatric evaluations. It really depends on the records that the person has. If your last evaluation was in school and it was 10 years ago, we're probably going to send you for a new evaluation because a decade has passed. People grow and change, right? So we will send you for the evaluations that we need to not only determine eligibility, but to help you, to help figure out what your skills and abilities are, what obstacles there might be to employment, and what services we can provide to address those conditions that are a result of the disability.
Okay, and so one says, let's assume that we're not on a waiver at all. They're not on a waiver, but if you transfer from SSI to SSDI by virtue of years worked, do you transfer to Medicare instead of Medicaid?
Yes, you do. And you are not eligible for Medicaid you may be eligible for Medicaid through a different program, but you're not eligible for the Medicaid that you had before. You will be terminated from both supplemental security income cash benefits and Medicaid. If you just get SSDI, you never got SSI at all, and your work puts you on SSDI, you get Medicare. And again, if you go back to those other webinars in June and May that we did, it explains more of that in detail.
And I just want to ask this question. So like in that example, we have a kid that's moving from SSI to SSDI because of the time that they have worked under their own record, and they're going to lose SSI and Medicaid per what you're saying, but their Medicare wouldn't take effect for 24 months. Is that correct?
There is a 24-month waiting period for Medicare, yes. And that waiting period does not start when you are determined disabled by the Social Security Administration. It starts when the date that your first cash benefit is due, which is 6 months from the date Social Security determines you disabled, unless you're a childhood disability beneficiary, disabled adult child, in which case you get your cash benefit immediately. But whenever you get your cash benefit, from the date that cash benefit is due, you have a 24-month waiting period. Many people, when they are finally approved for SSDI, don't get Medicare right away because they've already passed the 24-month waiting period. And that's because what Allison mentioned, the length of time that you have to wait from the time you apply to approval of an SSI or a Title II application through Social Security. The average waiting time in Texas right now, and this is average, is from the time of application to the time of approval is 18 months. And that's the average time. So it could take longer depending on which local office you're attached to, but that's the average amount of time.
Okay, thanks. We're going to pause on questions for right now. We'll come back to some questions so that way we can keep going on the slides.
And I will answer these two in the chat. So
that's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So let's talk about how, when you're concurrent, how your SSI is affected. So remember, you've got a combination of benefits happening, right? And so at some point, that means the benefits essentially are colliding and the rules are kind of parallel to each other, but they're going at the same time. You can kind of think of it like you're driving on the highway next to somebody that just won't move over. And that's kind of what a concurrent is doing. And they're moving literally at the same time. So before you know anything else, you've got to know what happens to the Title II to know how that's going to impact the SSI, because the Title II cash benefit is considered unearned income. So if you see here on this red box that we've got here, the unearned income on the SSI side comes off the first thing in the SSI calculation. So when you receive a Title II cash benefit, what Social Security is going to do is factor that Title II cash benefit in as unearned income. And what happens is they take that, whatever the amount is of that monthly cash benefit, they're going to subtract the $20 of that general income exclusion. And that is what's going to be the countable unearned income. So if you've got Title II, you're receiving a Title II cash benefit, you're a concurrent, that Title II cash benefit is going to be considered unearned income. Come on, slides. It does not want to move forward for me either. Let's see.
I know, I have the same problem. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just, maybe if I try to, I'm going to give up control and try to request it again. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay. Okay, it moved forward. There we go. So let's walk through a concurrent who's not working, for example. John, he's getting the full SSI amount, for 2023, which is $914. He's transferred to a Title II disability benefit due to his own work record. And because both of his parents either retired, passed away, or became disabled themselves, or maybe a spouse passed away, John starts to draw a cash benefit from one of those records. The amount of the Title II cash benefit that John ends up being awarded is $750 a month. Since this amount is below the required Title II cash award that Sara discussed, remember the full FBR rate of $914 plus $20, which remember that total was $934, John is going to continue to receive some SSI and Medicaid and the Medicaid that's attached to that. John's SSI cash benefit is going to be $184. Okay. He still is subject on the Medicaid side, on the Title 16 side, to that $2,000 resource limit. So we discussed this in our webinar when we did SSI about the resource limit for Title 16 SSI for an individual. It can be no more than $2,000 monthly. If it is over $2,000, that will halt your SSI and your Medicaid. So when you're concurrent, remember how I said, think of these benefits happening parallel to each other and moving at the same time, having to follow the same rules. So on the SSI side of the fence, he's getting his SSI cash benefit, but he is also still subject to that resource limit. I'm clicking, there we go. Since John doesn't work, nothing is going to happen to his Title II cash benefit. We're going to look at the SSI though, how it impacts it. This is the breakdown on what it's going to look like on the calculation sheet of what we just discussed, right? So the $750 is considered the unearned income. And I said, remember, we're going to take that $20 away right off the bat, and that leaves us with $730. Since he's not working, the second section is completely zeroed out. The third section here is the total countable unearned income that we got of $730 from the very first section. And then we don't have any countable earned income because there was no work activity. And there's no plan to achieve self-support. That's a work incentive. He's not working right now. So we're going to talk about, we talked about PASS a little at a different webinar, but it's zero right now. And that's just going to leave us with the countable income of $730. That is what we're going to take away from the full FBR rate of $914 because he's paying his own room and board. So $914 minus $730 is $184. Now, when does something happen to the SSI or Title II, Medicaid or Medicare? Now, something may happen when John starts working. It's going to depend on how much John is earning. If you go back to our June 6th webinar on Title II to understand more of the basic terms that we're going to start using in more detail, this will probably help either be a refresher for you guys or for those of you who missed it, it'll put it all together. John gets a job earning $1,500 gross a month, July 1st of 2022. And he continues to earn that amount through March of 2023. On the Title II side, that means John is using his trial work period or TWP months. During the trial work period, John, he can earn as much as he wants and continue to receive the $750 in his Title II cash benefits. The trial work period on the Title II side is the first stage of work, and you could make up to $1 million in that trial work period and still receive your Title II cash benefit. John has no work incentives on the SSI side at this point, but let's look to see how this impacts his SSI. So here we go, right? Got the Title II, it's still there, the $750, still considered unearned income. So we take the $20 away, so that stays the same, and we still get the $730. Well, now he started working, right? Earning $1,500 a month. So we've got to factor this into the calculation. So the gross earned income, $1,500. There's no work incentives yet. So zero right there for the student earned income exclusion. That leaves us with $1,500. Because we this note here, it says GIE if not used above. Because he has unearned income, you can only use that $20 one time. So here in this section, we can't use it again, so that stays zero. So we're left with $1,500. Now, because he is working, he does get the earned income exclusion, and that itself is in the title. When you're working, you do get an additional $65 in addition to that $20 that was used above. So that, subtracting that earned income exclusion from the $1,500, that leaves us with $1,435. The impairment related work expense is another work incentive. We're not factoring it. He doesn't have any of those right now. So we're left with $1,435. And then it says next to divide by 2. That leaves us with $718. The blind work expense is another work incentive. He doesn't have any, so 0. So we're left with the total countable earned income of $718. Now, we've got to combine the incomes in this third section. So we take the total countable unearned income of $730, and then we're going to add the total countable earned income of $718. The pass is another work incentive. Don't have that, so 0 here. And then the total countable income is a total of $1,448. Now, because that base rate is $914, when we add the incomes together, it's above the FBR rate. So what's going to happen is the SSI during his trial work period zeroes out. Now, what about John's Medicaid and Medicare? When John's SSI goes to 0, okay, SSA is going to automatically put him in what's known as SSI 1619B. And 1619B is what protects Medicaid for SSI recipients who are working. So he's going to continue to receive his free Medicaid. And then on the Title II side, his Medicare that's attached to the Title II side, nothing happens to John's Medicare. It just continues. But if John receives assistance from Texas Health and Human Services Commission Medicare Savings Program, also known as MSP programs, if he has help with any of his premiums for his Medicare, that could be impacted. It may change or possibly terminated. So John, once he's done with the trial work period, okay, John's going to, he completed the trial work period March 31st of 2023, and he's continuing to work and earn $1,500 gross a month. He's going to enter the second stage of work on the Title II side, which is known as the extended period of eligibility. And this starts April 1st of 2023. Because John is earning above substantial gainful activity for this year in 2023, he's going to trigger what's known as his cessation and grace period. And this is the first 3 months of his extended period of eligibility. He is eligible for his Title II monthly cash benefits for these 3 months. After his 3-month cessation and grace period, he's not eligible. So after those 3 months, the cessation and 2 months of grace period, he's not eligible for his Title II cash benefit. And the unearned income portion on the SSI side and the amount of SSI, the actual monthly cash benefit, is going to change. So let's take a look at it. What happens on the calculation sheet, that first section, he doesn't get the cash benefit anymore, the $750. So there's no unearned income here to factor in on the SSI side. So that's why now this first section is now zeroed out. The second section, still earning the $1,500 gross a month, subtract 0, left with $1,500. Now, because we don't have any unearned income, we can use the $20, remember, just that one time. We subtract the 20 from 1,500 and we're left with 1,480. still working, and so still that earned income exclusion applies. So subtract the $65, and we're left with $1,415. And then we're going to divide that by 2 and left with $708. The $708 is what we're going to subtract from the 914 because we don't have any total countable unearned income. So once the Title II does go away, because he's above SGA, he will get some SSI. He'll get $206. So what happens to Medicaid and Medicare? Nothing. They're going to both continue. Another concurring example. This time we're going to use a work incentive. Okay. Staying with John, who earns $1,500 gross a month and receives still the $750 Title II cash benefit, and a $184 in SSI benefit and Medicaid and Medicare. This time, John has a student earned income exclusion, also known as SEIE, which he can use on the SSI side because the SEIE is an SSI work incentive. For more information on SEIE or IRWI and all the other work incentives, we discussed all of those on May 31st. And on the Title II side, we discussed the work incentives for Title II on June 6th. But let's see if the SEIE is going to make a difference. So we got the unearned income, okay, during the trial work period, which is the Title II cash benefit of $750. So again, there's that $20 we can only use one time. Left with $730. The gross earned income, $1,500. And we added the SEIE work incentive. Because it is less than what can be deducted monthly in SEIE for this year, he is able to put the full $1,500 in the student earned income exclusion line on the SSI calculation sheet. And so what that ends up doing is zeroing out the total countable earned income section. And then you see what that does as far as we still have the $730 of countable unearned income. The countable earned income is 0. So what we're left with in total countable income is $730. And that's what we're going to subtract from the 914. Sorry, I went too fast, it clicked. The 914, and we're left with $184. Now, after the trial work period, when that Title II cash benefit is suspended because he's earning above SGA, that Title II, the $750 goes away. We keep the $1,500, and there you see the student earned income exclusion is still there. That section zeroes out. What's going to end up happening? He's going to keep the full amount of SSI using the student earned income exclusion after the trial work period. So it seems really easy, right? And kind of self-explanatory when we're looking at the calculation sheet itself, but it's not really that simple. There's so many different variables and so many scenarios that a person can come across. And there's an upper limit each year on how much somebody can claim in that student earned income exclusion, for example. It's that one in a go. An individual can have more work incentives, which could mean keeping the Title II cash benefit even after their trial work period when they're earning above substantial gainful activity. And that may impact the SSI cash benefit or cause it to go to 0. But Medicaid will continue through, and so will the Medicare. And also too, you know, we have to factor in when someone is working, other benefits can be impacted, like food stamps, housing assistance, childcare. So those are other things to factor in when somebody does start working, especially when they have all these different benefits going around each other. I don't think it moved. Nope. Work incentives can end while an individual is working, which could also cause a situation to change on their Title II or their SSI cash benefit side. So there's a lot of variables when looking at benefits as a whole, but especially when we're talking about those who are receiving Social Security disability benefits concurrently. So you're probably thinking to yourself, how do you figure all this out? Well, you're safe. You don't have to figure this out. There's no way you could figure this out. There are people who are trained to figure this out and provide support. You're going to get benefits counseling for your family member from a certified benefits counselor. It's very, very important. You want to have someone who knows this stuff and who has been trained to provide the benefits counseling. That's why the certified piece is very important. If your family member receives services from Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehab Services, whom Sara and I work for, they're going to receive benefits counseling. They will get an in-depth benefit summary analysis and a work incentive plan. And you'll have access to this benefits counselor that provides that benefit summary analysis and work incentive plan after the VR case has closed. And this service will always be free. So once you receive the benefits counseling, if you've been a customer with VR, once that case closes, and as the career is going along, or you just have a question about your benefits, or maybe something changes in relation to work, and you don't know how it's going to impact what's going on, you have this benefits counselor for life. This is a resource for life, and it's free. If your family member does not receive services from TWS VRS, they can call this 1-800 number here on the screen. It's 1-866-968-7842. And then they'll be referred to a certified benefits counselor for free benefits counseling services. Now, please note, certified benefits counselors, guess what? They're human. They're actually real life human beings. So the information you get going this route, please note, it may not be 100% accurate. Now, are you interested in employment? Well, that's what VR is for. We assist people with disabilities to find competitive integrated employment through limited time services. And these services can be an array of supports to help someone reach their employment goals, including benefits planning, going to college. Maybe they're looking to do some vocational or occupational skills training. Maybe they need help exploring and career planning, having a career planning assessment. And they might need, connections with job developers or job coaches to help them maintain a job. Maybe they're struggling to keep and maintain. But VR also offers pre-employment transition services to individuals who are ages 14 to 22. And that individual does not need to be a customer of TWS VRS to receive those pre-ed services. So if you want to find your local VR office, you can go, you can enter your zip code right here on the VR office lookup. There's a live link on the screen once the presentation is shared with you, or you can use Start My VR, or you can call 512-936-6400, or you can even also shoot an email over to vr.officelocator@twctexas.gov.
You're on mute,
Allison, we can't hear you. And here's our contact information there on the screen.
Sure. I just wanted to mention that we've got multiple webinars on vocational rehab, kind of talking about the different programs. If they're still in school, the summer Earn and Learn program, those pre-employment training service programs, as well as the VR program. So you guys can find that on the Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel. We definitely have topics on that, and we will have them upcoming again for sure. It's a great program, and it's definitely, because services can begin as early as age 14. It's awesome. It's a lot of training and a lot of kind of getting them ready to be employment ready. So I love that it starts as early as 14 for sure.
And we would like to say, just before we wrap up, that you do have our contact information, and please feel free to contact us at any time if you have benefits questions about a family member or for yourself or for people that you're serving. We are public servants. You pay our salary, and we're very grateful to you all.
Yes, thank you. Again, this is it's a lot of information to take in, and that is why we are going to provide everybody with the recording and a link to the slides, so you didn't have to take notes on all of that. We're happy to help any way that we can. If you have additional questions that weren't answered, feel free to reach out. You can get on our calendar. We offer free consultations to talk and go a little bit deeper. So thanks everyone for being here today. Thank you, Sara and Nehtra. We will have other conferences going forward, and certainly look forward to working with you guys again. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.